guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Rachel here. I'm sure you must have noticed that there's no bookshelf behind me. That's because this is not a book video. This is a sit down video where I just get to chat with you guys, get up front and close and personal, or how do they say it, and we're just going to be chatting about some really personal stuff. From the title of the video you can see that today I'm going to be sharing 30 lessons that I've learned in life as I get closer to my 30th birthday. Let's get started. So I'm getting closer to my 30th birthday, which is in March, and I'm super excited. It feels like as if I'm still 14. Now I understand when all these old people who are like 60 something, they're like, no, I don't feel it, I don't feel like I'm old. And I got this video idea from an actress, I think Abimbola Craig, and I watched her video. Maybe she did, was it Journey to 34 or was it 35, I can't remember, where she shared some of the lessons that she had learned in life. And because I'm trying to like document my own experiences in life and my journey, so I thought it would be a great idea to share some of the lessons that I've learned so far in life. Turning 30 for me is, first of all, like I said, I really can't believe it. I feel like as if I'm still 15. I feel like I'm still a baby. So in my mind I'm still very young, but I'm so grateful for all the experiences, the growth, the evolution. When I look back, it's just been an amazing ride in life. I'm very big on journaling and I journal a lot. By the way, if you want to join an online journaling club, which I think I'm about to start, let me know in the comments and we'll work things out. So I'm very big on journaling and I love to journal my experiences, my thoughts, my feelings, and most times I will not really go back to read my journal entries. Sometimes I'm terrified of them. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know, if I was not really in a good place then, would I really want to be triggered again? But it's very good because I'm able to track my growth, the way I used to think before, the way I think now. And the most amazing thing, which I saw like yesterday when I read a journal entry, was the fact that my past self was writing a letter or a note to my future self and just telling me how much I believe in me and how much I'm destined for great. Like my past self was literally making my future self cry because of how beautiful it was. So that's like one of the amazing benefits of journaling. But over time I've just like sat down and really thought to myself, like, what lessons have really stood out the most for me. If you guys followed my Instagram, at one point I used to post lessons of the week, my LOTW, and I will post like maybe 7 to 10 lessons that I've learned that week, and then I stopped doing that. I don't know why, but lessons are such a big part of my life and they've ultimately kept me going so long. So I wrote down 30 lessons which I'm going to share with you guys, and it's going to cover quite a lot of personal experiences, personal stories that I don't really share a lot on my YouTube channel, but I'm looking to share now. So yeah, I'm reading out of my YouTube content planner. If you're a YouTuber and you haven't gotten this content planner, then I don't know what you're waiting for, but it's currently on sales. It's my YouTube content planner. It helps me plan all my videos. It helps me, put together everything. So I'm able to put down my talking notes, my talking points, and my talking notes. I'm able to schedule my posts, upload them, according to time, and if I don't keep time, I cancel. And the best part about it is that it's flexible, so even when you're not in the mood to record for a couple of months or a couple of weeks, you can take a break and come back to it whenever, so you don't feel like as if you're missing out on anything. So I'll leave the link in the description box if you want to shop. It's currently available for immediate delivery nationwide. Wow, I'm really getting this marketing thing. Number 1 is be okay with saying no. This is one major lesson that I've learned in my life, you guys. I used to be, and I still have traits of it, of being a huge people pleaser. Like, I suffer from people please. You're right, it's not even funny. And I've been taking my medication, yes, and it's getting better. But you guys, I had to learn the hard way to be okay with saying no. That's not just to say no, but to be at peace with saying no and not be panicking. Oh my goodness, because I said no, nobody likes me. Oh my goodness, they're upset. Look, when I was in uni, I've always been an EFICO, so I take my notes seriously. I take like attendance in class seriously. I don't joke with any of those things. And I think one of the first major experiences that I had in terms of saying no was when I used to give my notes to people in class a lot. And one time somebody poured oil on my notebook. In fact, one time somebody misplaced it my note and it was like 2 weeks to the exam, or tore out a portion of the note when they used it, I almost went crazy, you guys. And from that moment I was like, nope, I'm going to be saying no. And then I started saying no like a whole lot. I would just practice saying no. And when I started saying no, I would always want to explain no, because what happened was people did this and did this in the past, so that's why I'm not. I now had to start being okay with saying no and not having to explain myself. So if I'm able to do something, I will do it. If I'm not able to do something, I would say no and I'll keep it moving. And I'm like, no. My second lesson is that I learned a bit the hard way, is that you're not Bob the Builder, so it's not your job to fix anyone. It is not your job to fix anybody. Like, people come the way they are. People learn from their experiences. It's not, especially in relationships. Like, don't be like, oh my goodness, yes, I know the potential of what you can be. I know what, and you're trying to fix somebody into what you feel is your version of perfection. But who told you that they're not perfect the way they are? So it's not your job to fix anyone. Two people, friends, relationship people, lovers, whatever, husband and wife, you can rub off on each other, you can, I guess, learn lessons from each other. But in terms of trying to fix somebody into your ideal person, then it's really not your job. Like, you either take it as you see it or you leave it. So yeah, that was a lesson that I learned. The third one, which is the most important lesson that I've learned my whole life, especially as I'm getting to 30, is the fact that God is constant. Oh my goodness. Like, God is the only constant. No matter how many times you lose track and you run around in circles and you are all over the place and you forget, he never ever forgets. He's always there. And I remember one time on Facebook I put a quote and I said, if you feel far away from God, then guess who moved? It's because you moved. It's because you strayed. It's because I strayed, not because he did. He's always there. He's always there blessing, always there answering prayers, even the things that you didn't ask for. He's always there giving, always there being a source of comfort. He's always constant. Friends may come and go, relationship may come and go, jobs may come and go, opportunities may come and go, but God is constant. God is the one thing that you can count on that will never let you down. And that's not to say that we have really bad experiences sometimes in life that make us actually question God, because I hear a lot of people like, no, don't question God. Like, to me personally, I understand when people question God, like, oh, why? Like, you're talking to him like he's your dad, because your earthly father, you will be able to say, oh, how come this happened? Why would you do this to me? And you hear some people in the depth of grief or mourning, they actually ask, oh, what did I do? Like, did I do anything wrong? So it's not like you are saying, how dare you, or whatever, but I mean, there are those experiences, but he's always there and he's the constant. On my journey to 30, my fourth lesson that I've learned, which is, I mean, just think about this lesson that I just shared, and the next one I'm about to share is making your bed every morning is a big deal. So there was this TED talk that I watched about this guy who was giving, I don't know whether it was a valedictory speech or something like that, and basically this guy was talking about the importance of making your bed every morning. Ever since I watched that TED talk, this was like over 3 years ago, my life has changed. I never leave my house without dressing my bed, no matter how late I am. And in a weird way, no matter how crazy the day is, when you come back into your house and your bed is made, even if the day was so terrible, there's that little glimmer of hope that, you know what, maybe, just maybe, tomorrow might be better. And so that was why I took making my bed seriously. It helps me psychologically. Every time my bed is made, it makes me feel a little bit more organized. When I come back in from a crazy day, whether it was work, whether it was whatever, I look at my bed and I'm like, you know what, just maybe there's a glimmer of hope that life could actually be okay tomorrow. And then I go to bed and I'm like, yeah, his grace and his mercies will be new again by tomorrow morning. So that's a very important lesson that I've learned and that has stuck with me throughout. On this journey to 30, I have learned that every problem is an opportunity to grow in self-control and personal confidence. So I had to learn to go from looking at obstacles, challenges, and problems as major stumbling blocks in my life to seeing them as an opportunity to grow. And this really came about in my 9-to-5 that I had in the law firm, where especially the first year and the second year, where I didn't know not much, and my supervisor will give me something to do and I'll be like, how on earth does he think I'm going to do this? And I'll feel so paralyzed. Like I could literally stay for 3 days not knowing what to do because of the way my mindset was, because of how I looked at it. I never looked at a problem like, okay, this thing is trying to teach me something and it's trying to teach me a way to grow, or this problem is trying to teach me a way to find out different things, or just use your brain. I saw it as, this thing has come again and I definitely won't know how to do it. I can't. So I had to grow from that mindset of whatever is given to you, whatever problem, whatever obstacle, whatever challenge, instead of looking at it that way, look for solutions. But in looking for solutions, also realize that this is a way for you to grow. This is something that I learned. This is a way for you to grow. And I talk to myself a lot. So in the mornings when I have that, I'll just be like, Rachel, this is a chance for you to grow. This is a chance for you to learn something different. This is a chance for you to experiment, explore. And when you eventually smash that thing or solve it, you feel so good. I always used to feel so good. So it changed the way I started looking at problems, at challenges, at obstacles. And as much as possible now where I am, I don't particularly let it weigh me down to the point where I'm having sleepless nights. I can't remember the last time I had a sleepless night, and it's not because there weren't problems or there weren't things I wasn't, looking out for. So that's the way I started looking at problems. On this journey to 30, I've learned that if something is important enough, you should try, even though the outcome might be failure. Like, this is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in my life. If something is important enough to you, like that fear of failure, I was chatting with somebody one time recently and the person was like, man, the fear of failure, how it can paralyze you. And I'm like, trust me, I totally understand. For me, like quitting my 9 to 5, when it seems like the next thing for you to do is to like shift into a different career where there's still a merger with law, but focusing primarily on mental health and like global mental health and taking so many things into consideration. Honestly, it was like the biggest thing that I've ever done in my life. I've never resigned from anything. I've never, in quotes, stopped doing something that I've been doing forever. I've always been like a star girl academically or whatever, and growing in my profession, I had learned so much. Like I had become somebody that had learned a lot, and going into a new field where you're not sure that you're going to succeed academically, people who know me in terms of academically, like, hey, star girl, ethical, whatever. But going into a new field where you're not sure of how it's going to happen, and you're just sitting down and you're like, oh my goodness, it's best for me to just stay where I've always known, where I've always shined, where I'm sure that, people will look at me and be like, oh yeah, from her uni, she got a first class, or from law school, she got a really good grade, but for me, I realized that if something is so important enough to me, I should try, even if I might fail. And it helped me in terms of what I define as failure, and making sure that I'm not looking at, it's what the world is going to see you fail, so that's why you don't want to. No, it's more like, if I see failure in quotes as an opportunity to grow, as an opportunity to learn from it, if I'm able to, put myself together and say, okay, this experience did not go the way I wanted it to go, what else can I do with what I've learned from this, in quotes, negative experience? But the most important thing is that I actually tried. Because for me, I think maybe 3 years ago or so, I started thinking, okay, so if I'm on my deathbed and somebody asked me like, what is your biggest regret in life, or did you live life to the way you wanted it to be? And anytime I imagine myself in that picture, I want to be able to smile and say, yes, I lived life the way I would actually want to live life, not the way I feel like people want me to live life, or what was expected of me from certain circles, So when I thought about that, I'm like, this life, you only have one shot, you can't do it over. You can't come back and be like, oops, in this lifetime, I didn't really do what I wanted to do, so I'm going to come back again and I'm going to try again. No, once you're gone, and you only have one shot. So if something is so important to you, then why not try? Why not? And I'm not saying quit your job or go haywire and be like, hey, whatever. But however it applies to you, whatever you can try, whatever you can do, I think it's worth doing, even if you know that. Because guess what? The result might not be failure, and you might succeed and you might do amazingly well. And everybody will be congratulating you, but nobody will know that the fear you had to overcome. Nobody will know how you had to step out of your comfort zone. But the most important thing is that you tried. On this journey to 30, I have learned that you lose 100% of the shots that you do not take. If I see an opportunity and I feel underqualified, why can't I just apply? I don't lose anything. But if I stay in my comfort zone and I sit down and I say, oh, you know what, let me just hold on, let me wait until the right time, there's never really going to be the right time to do what you really want to do. So the most important thing is that if you don't take a shot, then you lose 100% of the shots you don't take. How about you take 100% shots and then maybe lose 30 and get 70 and know that you've actually gotten from it? But by not even showing up, by not even taking a shot, you exclude yourself from the race and you can't end up getting what you want. On this journey to 30, I've learned that I am complete and I am enough. Mostly that I am complete in Christ Jesus. Like, nobody can take away that identity from me. Nobody can make me feel incomplete or like, oh, you need somebody to make you complete. I'm already complete. Like, He has made me whole, and it's just been an exciting journey going through all the different ways in terms of knowing who I am, in terms of my identity, and that has just been very, very amazing for me, knowing that I am enough as I show up in the universe and that I don't have to do the most. I don't have to do to be. I can just be, I can just be enough. I don't have to do the most to be worthy. I don't have to do anything. Just by who I am and just by who I was created to be, I am enough, and that has been such a valuable lesson for me. On this journey to 30, I've learned that I am my most valuable asset and I need to constantly invest in myself. It's amazing how you can decide to not believe in yourself and people look at you, people around you are looking at you and they're believing in you. They are like rooting for you and telling you how amazing you are, and you're like, no, I don't see it. What? No, I'm terrible. And people are constantly reminding you, but you are your most valuable asset. You are the one that you're going to spend the longest time with, whether alone, whether in the company of other people. But you, your mind, and yourself, you are the one that you're going to spend the longest time with. So you better become your best friend. You better invest in yourself. You better believe in yourself, because there are times when it's not everybody will be dealing with their own stuff, and people might not be able to tell you how much they believe in you, but you need to believe that you are your most valuable asset. That's a lesson that I've learned. On this journey to 30, I've learned that not all friendships are meant to last a lifetime, and that's fine. I always struggled with moving from phase to phase in life, in terms of when we're done with primary school, we have to move to secondary school. You have to leave some friends behind, take some with you. Secondary school, you leave some friendships behind, go to uni. I always struggled with that moving from phase to phase. And I remember that when my sister was getting married, I struggled so much because I was like, it's always been me and her for like 20 something years, and then all of a sudden, like, she goes off to get married and then she's living somewhere else, and it's not like four of us anymore in our home and stuff like that. And it just made me remember to always treasure moments as they happen in life and treasure all the phases, because really you make friends along the way in different aspects. I made friends in primary school, secondary school, law school, university, and my job, and some friendships have stayed with me over the years, and some for that particular phase we were friends and that was all it was, and it kept on moving. The friendship nobody fell out, nobody hated each other. Some friendships, yes, things may have happened that may have made you decide, okay, I'm just going to keep to myself, and I might not necessarily have confronted any of the friends, because, oh my goodness, I used to be very, very bad with confrontation, which I'm learning to overcome, kind of. But there's some friendships that you guys just check up on each other once in a while, and it's okay. Not all friendships are meant to last a lifetime. You learn what you can learn from the people who are around you at every point in your life, and you take valuable lessons from it. You hope that you can also impact people when you have a limited time with them. Hopefully they can learn something from you that would keep with them forever, for a lifetime. So that's what is most important. On this journey to 30, I've learned that it does not have to be perfect to be beautiful. Oh my goodness, as a recovering perfectionist who has suffered from perfectionism and analysis paralysis, I've learned that, an experience, an expression of your creativity, a project that you're working on, it doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. It doesn't have to be perfect to be, in quotes, accepted. It doesn't have to be perfect to be the best thing in the whole world. What is most important is that it's beautiful, and there's beauty in different forms, there's beauty in imperfection. Even as a person, a lot of times we strive for perfection, and we're like, yes, I want to keep on improving, I want to keep on improving so that I can get to my most beautiful self, or I can get to like my higher self. But I've learned that, and I'm learning that it doesn't always have to be perfect to be beautiful. Even in relationships, even in the way I relate with people, it doesn't always have to be perfect to be beautiful. On this journey to 30, I am learning, or I have learned, that you cannot control everything and everyone. Yes, oh my goodness, I'm a huge control freak. I like things the way I like things, but my goodness, you cannot control everything, and you cannot control everyone. You can't even control certain outcomes. You can only just put in the work and watch how it will happen. You can't sit down and be like, this is exactly how it's going to happen. Even when you put your heart into relationships, you can't for sure control that the person will love you back the way you want it to be, or the relationship is going to end the way you want it to be. Even with friendships, you tell somebody something in a certain way, you can't control their reaction. You want them to react a certain way, but you have to be prepared that they're not going to react the way you want them to react, because you can't control everyone and you cannot control everything. And that's something very, very valuable that I've learned and that I'm learning, and it helps me in terms of being graceful to the way I react or respond to certain things. I cannot control everything, and I cannot control everyone, and I have to be okay with that. On this journey to 30, I am learning that I am beautiful in whatever shape or form I come in. So when I was growing up and I was in like I think secondary school, I really battled with very, very low self-esteem. Maybe because I didn't show up in the society in the shape that people would consider the most attractive. Like, I was round and just rolling up and down, honestly. And I used to play basketball then, and I never really felt like I was huge. Maybe it was only when people would take pictures, or I'll stand beside someone else, because I could move. Like, I was very physically active. I was even like the point guard in my basketball team and everything like that. So let's just say I did not really get a whole lot of male attention. And I always tell anybody who cares to listen, there was literally only one guy who I really liked then. I really liked in secondary school, and unfortunately he's late now. His name is OJ, and I remember that I always used to tell him when we eventually grew up, I was like, OJ, oh my goodness, you must have really liked me. You went to go and shave my initials on the back of your head for prom. And he was like the sweetest, oh god, I can't believe I'm saying he was like the sweetest soul on the planet. And he used to tell me, he's like, okay, I just needed a moment. So he used to tell me, he's like, oh Rachel, no, of course, when I knew you in secondary school, you were always so beautiful. It wasn't really about like how you looked or whatever, but it was about who you were. And for the longest time, I didn't really get that when I was in secondary school, or really understand that, maybe because I was younger. But as I've gotten older, I understood that, the beauty is not really in the physical form, it's more in the spirit. And yes, while it's good for me to take care of the vessel that my spirit comes in, and be fit and be exercising, and yeah, it's nice to look good, and maybe that boosts your confidence a little bit, but it's more about the beauty in who you are on the inside. And that's why people sometimes will be like, oh, beautiful on the inside and out, because really, if you're not beautiful on the inside and you're a huge beauty on the outside, honestly, sometimes it kind of dampens the whole look. And so that's something that I've really learned, to just appreciate myself in every form or shape and size that I come in. I think that obsession of looking a certain way to fit society standards, or having a certain body type, with time I've learned to just like totally eliminate that and just be okay with how I am, feel how I feel physically fit, and just be in that frame of mind, more to appreciate my spirit more than any other thing. On this journey to 30, like I said, this flows from that. I've learned that I'm more than how I look on the outside. I just explained that. On this journey to 30, I've learned never to take life for granted. I do not like, there was a time in my life where I just felt like, yeah, of course, now you make plans, you should always wake up the next day. And it's not even about old people dying. When you see people around you who are your age mates dying, or people who are just in situations that you're like, oh my goodness, whether it's in the hospital, because I don't really subscribe to the idea of looking at somebody's unfortunate events to make yourself feel better. But the truth is that when you see certain situations, it helps you appreciate your own. If you were there, feeling some type of way, you tend to appreciate them and you tend to be more grateful. So I've learned to never take life for granted. One thing that I've really been intentional and conscious about is making sure that I do and say things that I want to do and say in the moment. So I'm not living recklessly, but if I appreciate a family member, I'll tell them. If I'm feeling like, oh my goodness, I love you, I'll tell them. If I want to thank a friend, thank you so much for always being there for me. Sometimes they'll be like, why are you telling me thank you? What's all this one? What's going on? Why are you emotional? I'm like, no, like that's the only way I can express how grateful I am to you for being my friend. So I don't want all that giving flowers when the person is gone. Oh, he was this, he was that. Everything that I feel like I want to be able to say about somebody when they are no more is the same way I want to be able to say to your face the way I'm feeling it. So that's something that I've learned, to just be more intentional, because I'm learning not to take life for granted. Every day that I wake up is a beautiful blessing to me. It's an amazing opportunity to get things done. Some days are better than others. Some days I'm like, oh my goodness, and some days I'm like, yay, I'm happy to be alive. So it's like, no matter what, no matter how bad it is, like they say, a bad day is not a bad life. So I learn not to take things for granted. On this journey to 30, I'm learning to celebrate the little victories and milestones in life. It's easy to always be swayed by what's the next big thing, what's the next big thing. You've achieved something great in that same week. You achieved something great on Monday. People are still congratulating you. You're doing amazing. Maybe you've posted it on social media. By Wednesday, you're already feeling inadequate. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, what's the next thing? What am I going to do? I'm a waste. And somebody else is telling you, but you've literally just done this thing that is so great. What are you complaining about? And you're like, no, you don't understand. So and so. And I've really just learned to celebrate each milestone, each victory, no matter how little, no matter what valley it's in, whether it's in the high ones, even when other people are not celebrating me. Whatever reason, I just know that people like to be associated with success, and it's easy for you to take yourself for granted when people are not celebrating you. For the longest time, I didn't reach a lot of milestones on my YouTube channel, and I was just there on the journey alone. People will watch, I'll put my heart and soul into a video, and at the end of the day, it comes out only like 3 views 8 views or whatever in the early stages, and then all of a sudden I'm hitting milestones, 500 subscribers, 1,000 subscribers, and then people are like, oh wow, oh my goodness, I want to be associated with this person, I want to congratulate this person in public, I want to do this, I want to do that. And you can get lost with not congratulating or celebrating yourself when people are not doing the same thing for you. So I am learning to celebrate myself, celebrate my milestones, my victories, no matter how little, and no matter whether people are celebrating me or not. On this journey to 30, I've learned a very important lesson, that words are powerful. The words that you tell yourself every single day, the words that you tell yourself in the morning before you go to bed, they are powerful. They can literally shape or mar your life. And because of how important these words are, I actually created and designed affirmation cards, which are on my online store. You guys can check them out by clicking the link in the description box. So because I know how important looking at affirmations, daily affirmations, I know how important they are to life in general. And it's just been so amazing for me trying to watch the words that I say, because before I would say certain things like, you're so clumsy, my goodness, that thing you did was so stupid, God, why do you have to be so silly? And no matter whether I was joking or even talking to other people, I had to be conscious about the kinds of words that I say to myself, because they are powerful. And that's something that I'm really learning, that has helped me to boost myself even when I'm not feeling it. Especially when I'm not feeling it, that's when I tell myself things like, you are amazing, you're doing good. The other part of me will be like, but I'm like, don't worry, just keep on saying it. Say it until you feel it, because words are really powerful. On this journey to 30, I'm learning that it's okay to remove yourself from toxic environments, no matter what they are. One of the biggest challenges that I had in my life in 2019 was as relates to church, going to church, and I stopped going to church for like 2 years or 1.5 years. COVID hit, and so I was joining online church. But that was one of the biggest life-changing moments of my life. Like for me, at that particular point, the environment that I was surrounded by was toxic, and that's like my own truth. And I had to be okay with removing myself from it, no matter what it was. Like whether it's friendships, whether it's relationships, whether it is an environment where I had always thought, oh, this space is definitely going to be safe for me, and it wasn't. I had to be okay with removing myself from it, no matter how much people are like, oh no, you still need to be in this, you need to be here, you need to be here. And I'm like, no, you don't understand how it's affecting my mental health. You don't understand how I'm not able to sleep, or how I'm not able to eat, or how I have panic attacks or anxiety. And this was how my life was for 2 years leading up to, like a year and a half leading up to when I eventually made that decision. And so I had to learn to be okay. That was one of the biggest life-changing lessons of my life. Maybe I'll make a video about it, maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, I had to just be okay with that, because a lot of times we hear toxic environment, but then people are like, oh no, why would you define church as maybe that kind of environment? Because that's where, but yeah, it's a group of imperfect people who are coming together to try to find their way in life. So you can't be like, oh, there is a place where for sure it's not going to be. Everybody can have different experiences wherever they find themselves. You can go to a school, have the best experience, and somebody will go to that same school and tell you it was the worst experience of my life. This was what happened to me. And that's just my own journey, and I had to be okay with it. Even with taking advice from people, I had to learn to filter things out, because I'm like, yeah, okay, you can give me advice, but this has not been your story. So if you're not going to step into my own shoes, then it's fine. We can be okay with it. On this journey to 30, relating to that, one major thing that I learned as it relates to spirituality, religion, service in church, is that service in church does not equate having a relationship with God. I grew up as what you would call probably like a preacher's kid or a pastor's kid, and growing up in church, you saw all this. Our church is pretty. The church that I attended growing up is like really pretty close knit. So everybody's like uncle this or uncle that, or auntie this or auntie that. And you grew up seeing people serve in church, and there were always messages about serving in church and using your talents in the kingdom of God. So you always wanted to like grow up to see where you could help. And along the way, for me personally, I know that at some point I got so carried away with, in quote, service in church and what you would probably call isolation, just being there present so that people can see you and be like, oh, okay, this person is there, while my relationship with God was suffering at the back. And people can't see your heart, people can't see your spirit, they can only see what you're doing there. And I had a great time serving and sacrificing, impacting lives, and being able to like talk to people, whether it was in the teens ministry. It's one of the most amazing times of my life. Me, I'm always down for anywhere to impact, anywhere to get your hands dirty and do things. I'm down for it. But at some point I realized that the major thing that was supposed to be holding me together to be able to do all these other things was suffering. And that was where I learned the major lesson of, look, if you're serving in church or you're a worker, whatever, it doesn't equate to you having an amazing relationship with God. Your relationship with God can literally be suffering, and you shouldn't now feel superior because you're cleaning chairs in church or you're an usher or whatever. At least I come to church every Sunday. If you know that your relationship with God is suffering, take some time to yourself. Get yourself. That's the most important thing. Like, you cannot give or pour from an empty cup. Like, God desires a relationship with each and every one of us. And I'll never forget the passage that I even did like some sort of, let me call it like a sermon or a sharing class on, about Mary and Martha. And it was just so insane how you're there running up and down doing the most. Oh my goodness, I want to prepare food, blah blah blah. And then Jesus is like, you're thinking about things that don't matter. Your sister has chosen the better thing, which was what? Just to sit down and listen to him. So it's easy for us as human beings to always get caught up in eye service and, oh, this is what people want to do. And while I'm not saying don't use your talents, in the kingdom of God or to serve in church or whatever, but the most important thing is the relationship with God. That's the foundation. That's what matters. Don't get caught up in, because you're going to church every Sunday or you're serving in church and you're looking at somebody who goes maybe once in 2 weeks or goes once in 3 weeks. So that person is a sinner. That person doesn't have a relationship with God. You even start feeling sorry for them because you are there on your high and mighty horse. The most important thing is that spiritual connection with God, and that's one major thing that I've learned. I feel like when you have that good foundation, you can even give more if you want to serve and you want to be there for other people. On this journey to 30, I am learning that it's okay to ask questions. Don't always assume. Gosh, I used to be somebody who, even if I wanted to ask questions, I'll just keep quiet. Even in class, in whatever, I'll keep quiet. Let it not be like as if I too know. But one thing I've learned is, I feel like that I too know thing is such an African thing. Why though? Because it leads you into so much trouble when you make assumptions, whether it's in your academic life, at work, in relationships. You'll be there making assumptions. We are dating for 3 years. After 3 years, the guy will be like, sorry, why did you think that we're dating. You didn't ask. You didn't ask. You'll be at work, you'll be stuck on a project, on a task for 3 weeks, something that you're supposed to have turned in. They start getting mad at you. You didn't ask how to go about it. You didn't ask what to do. No matter what, you ask people questions. And I've also learned, like, if you're asking people things and they're not available at that point to give you the type of answer that you want, or they don't have time, it's not about you. It's not about the fact that you're asking too many questions. Ask as many questions. That's one thing I've learned. Just don't take it personal. If they're not in the mood to answer at that time, come back again and ask and ask and ask until you get your results. That's one major lesson that I'm learning. On this journey to 30, I've learned that one of the most important things is to teach people how to treat you and how you want to be treated. There's nothing wrong with voicing how you want to be treated by people, whether it's friends, whether it's colleagues, whether it's people in relationships, your family. It's okay to speak up and say, hey, what you did, I didn't like. How you treated me, I didn't like. This is how I'd rather be treated. This is what I want. This is what communicates how you feel. It doesn't make you any weak. It doesn't make you any less of who you are. And nobody is going to take you for granted, like, oh, you're nagging, you're complaining. Anybody who says you're nagging or complaining when you're telling them how to treat them, then honestly, I really don't know. I'm no interpersonal relationship expert, but I mean, that's just a huge thing for me. Like, the same way they will tell you what you've done to upset them or what they would rather prefer, it's the same way you should be okay with telling people how to treat you. And you have to be able to teach them, so not just tell them. On this journey to 30, I have learned the importance of just getting started. Start with where you are. You don't need to have everything in place. You don't need to have everything put together. Start with where you are. No matter whatever it is that you want to start, no matter whatever project, whatever insane idea. For me, it was the book club or the YouTube channel or my online store, creating affirmation cards, journals, planners, whatever it was. I found that people would always vibe with that. Your customers will always be your customers. Your audience would always find you. You will find your audience. If it's your YouTube channel, you're not sure, oh, how do I go about it? Will people vibe with it? Just get started. I don't have the right equipment. I don't have the right qualifications in life. Get started how you can. Do research. Just be okay with starting with where you are. A lot of us really, really struggle with that, and then you find that you sit on a project or something that you've been meaning to launch for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and you never do it. It will be something that you'll be like, oh, I had always thought that I would want to do this, but I never ended up doing it. On this journey to 30, I'm learning to take one day at a time. Sometimes I think about the future. I have plans for the future, of course. I have dreams, I have goals, I have aspirations, I have things that I take to God in prayer every single day or almost every single day. Even the things that I haven't even taken to prayer, I know that He hears them in my spirit of how much I want them. But I'm learning to take one day at a time. I'm learning to not be overwhelmed with the future, to dwell on the past. Just as each day comes, take one day at a time. If I have really lofty goals, crazy things, I break them down into different sections. And some days I wake up, I'm not feeling so motivated, I'm not feeling so inspired. I try to get inspiration in different ways. Some days I just want to lay in bed and not even relate with other human beings in the world. But I'm learning to take one day at a time. I know that His grace and His mercies are new every morning. And I heard somewhere that if you feel like you're having a crazy day, just go to bed. The cup of grace will refill itself by 12 a.m. the next morning. By the time you wake up, you're like, yay, I feel good. And that might not really be the case all the time. Sometimes we might have prolonged issues or whatever, but just take one day at a time. Do the one you can do and leave the rest to God. Do what you can do and leave the rest to God. And that's something that I have learned, because God always come through for me, even in times where I'm like, oh my goodness, there is no way. I do my best and I leave the rest to God. On this journey to 30, I'm learning to be okay with uncertainties and not knowing. As a recovering control freak, uncertainty is like this, you're like this, you're like, no, I don't want any business uncertainty. I like to plan, I like to be structured, I like to have a routine, I like to have how I live my life. This is what I want. If you're coming into my life, this is what you're doing, this is how it is, but hey, If anything, I'm in a very uncertain period of my life. I have things that I'm working on. I still have my legal practice that I do. I have my online store, I have my business, I have things that I'm working on, my school applications. I'm hoping to get into school soon to get my master's and things like that. And some of these things are very uncertain. I don't know the answers to some of them. Even sometimes some people will ask me, okay, so in 5 years, so in 2 years, so exactly when you're done, what do you want to, and I'm like, I don't really have all the answers. I read somewhere that clarity comes from engagement. Sometimes when you engage with something more, whether it's like a program or a course or a career path, then okay, well, this is for me, or no, this is not for me. And I'm okay with not knowing. I'm learning to be okay with the uncertainties. I'm learning to just trust it to God, that God will give me the direction, God will give me the wisdom, God will give me the guidance, everything that I need to be able to do what I need to do in life, God will give me, because He's the one that has literally brought me this far. So I don't think He's going to leave me halfway and just be like, peace, bye, whatever. So that's the relationship that I have with Him. Even on the times when I don't feel the closest to Him, I feel like He's always there giving me that guidance. So I'm learning to be okay with uncertainties, because at the end of the day, if you're not okay with it, it doesn't change anything. There will always be uncertainties in life. If anything, they say change is constant, which is the most ironic statement. Change is constant. That's the only thing that you're guaranteed of, change in whatever form it comes. So you might as well be okay with it. If you're not okay with it, it doesn't care about you whether you're okay with it or not. It just gives you more peace if you're okay with it. On this journey to 30, I'm learning to trust the process and, just like I said, take one day at a time. On this journey to 30, I'm learning to not take things personally. Oh, I'm such a sensitive soul. I'm such a sensitive and emotional soul. I hated that part about me for the longest time, because I feel things so deeply. I'm literally the kind of person that'll be watching a video of a dog finding a new home, and I'll start crying and bawling my eyes out. At some point, I used to Google crying excessively, crying too much. Is crying too much normal? Is there anything wrong with my tear glands? Why do I feel things deeply? I honestly struggled with it for so long, and that's why over time I had to sort of reduce my access to news or things like that, like social media. It's not everything that I consume, because I feel things so deeply, even if I'm not directly affected by it, and it makes me start going up into this spiral of, oh, why are we even here? Are we really human beings? Why should we be alive? And whatever. But I'm just really learning to not take things personally. When people express their opinions of you, or try to dumb down their beliefs or whatever, that's theirs. It's their opinion of you. It doesn't reflect who you are. Like my friend Christopher always say, you don't define me, and it means something. It's very important. Nobody can define you except from you, right? So I'm learning not to take things personally. That was really one major thing that I struggled with in 2019, in the toxic environment that I found myself, where people were always coming to dump their opinions on me, always coming intruding in my personal space. I didn't know how to manage boundaries then. I didn't know how to tell people, I don't want you coming to tell me this, I don't want you coming at me to do this, stop harassing me. I didn't know how to tell people that. I was always so frazzled, I was always so overwhelmed, and I used to take things personally, and I'll feel it and I'll internalize it and I'll dwell on it and I'll feel so bad, and it will affect my whole week. But now, if you say the one you're saying, that's fine, that's your opinion, great. Even if you're sharing your convictions with me, you're sharing your faith with me, great. That is your journey. I don't have to internalize it. I take what I can from it. I filter the advice from it. I'm open to learning at any day, anytime. But I'm not going to you. If you try to shove it, I'll just be looking at you what people say. Don't you feel I'll just be looking at you? All right, yeah, that's great. Yeah, and when I'm done with you, I go and do the one I want to do. But it's more or less a healthy balance. So you can take advice from people, but you don't always have to internalize every single thing. You still have to be your own person at the end of the day. On this journey to 30, I'm learning not to diminish myself, trying to cater to other people's fears and insecurities. People will always project their fears and insecurities on you. When you have dreams and you have goals, people always, are you sure you can do that? I don't think you should do this. So, and guess what? These people who are giving you ideas and I don't think, what have they done? They probably haven't even done what you're trying to do. They might have done other things, but not what you're trying to do. Most of the time, they haven't done what you're trying to do. So be careful when you are taking advice from people to not limit yourself or to not make yourself make yourself feel small, like, oh, it's just this little thing I'm working on. No, if it's something big to you, because you're scared that people will tell you you're materialistic because you want to travel around the world, you're scared that people will tell you, are you sure you can make 5 million in a year from this small business you're doing, and surround yourself with people who actually believe in you and who can be realistic and tell you, okay, yes, you want to make 5 million in a year, great, this is what you can do, whatever. It might be tough to do this, but this is where you can go to. Not people who are just going to, because they have failed at certain things, they just want to project their fears and insecurities on you. There has to be that healthy balance, and that's something that I'm really learning. That's something that has helped me in terms of achieving my own goals in different aspects of life, whether it's even reading goals, whether it's like my business goals, whether it's things that I want to do. I'm very, very careful to not allow people to project, like, if you like project, I can't control what they say, but I tend to move out of that environment. I tend not to internalize. I'm like, okay, that's a reflection of what you believe is possible, that's fine. I have my own, what I think is possible, and that's okay. On this journey to 30, one thing I've learned is it always seems impossible until it is done. Always remember that, and that's something that I remember. It always seems impossible until it's done. I'm not going to take no for an answer, like in this life. Like, I'll always keep on trying. Sometimes I might lose steam, sometimes I might lose motivation. I need something to inspire me, but it always seems impossible until it's done. And that's why I love Elon Musk. Like, who would have thought that you would literally have rockets that go into space, like a car in space literally floating there, though you get to Mars, you have like a rover that is literally walking around on Mars like a robot, trying to collect samples and bring back to Earth. And it always seems crazy, doesn't it? It always seems impossible until it's done. And those people who are like, oh, you were crazy, oh, it was this, they can't say anything, and so they keep quiet. And it just takes you believing in yourself and a group of people around you. If you're blessed enough to have a group of people around you who believe in you, that's all it takes for you to do what you need to do. So it always seems impossible until it is done. On this journey to 30, I am learning that I do not have to compare my journey with others. For a woman, 30 is like, hey, 30 in the societies, you've hit the, how do they call it, old cargo, whatever. I don't even subscribe to any of that, honestly. You're not married, this one, that one. And to be fair, even if you don't subscribe to it, by the time you keep on internalizing a lot of things on social media, trust me, at some point your anxiety levels will rise, because you're thinking, oh my goodness, I should have done this by then. Who is the person who sets the time at which everybody does things in their lives? Whose time are you on? And for me, that's a major lesson that I've learned. Whose time am I on? I'm learning to embrace my journey, and I don't put time on. People are always asking me, oh, when you were growing up, didn't you have a time by which you wanted to get married or have kids? I'm like, nope, I didn't. Like, why would I want to put a timeline? They're like, no, but at least you must have. I said, no, for major things in my life, I allow God to put his time stamp on it. I don't like sit down and be like, hey, it must have happened by 29, because okay, even if I say it must have happened by 29 and then 29 comes and it didn't happen, then what? So I'm very comfortable with God deciding my own major timelines. When it happens, it happens. And that's something that I'm learning. Don't be comparing yourself. And it doesn't even have to come from a place of, you're comparing yourself to people, but look at how many divorces are going. No, that's not even it. It's just a case of, my journey is my journey. I'm embracing my journey. I'm happy with where I am at this point. I desire certain things. I've spoken to God about those things, and I feel comfortable knowing that at his right time, those things would happen. And I try as much as possible to reduce my consumption of information that would make me feel otherwise, because this is how I feel okay. And not everybody who desires or wants to settle down, like, there's nothing wrong with that. People can have desired something at a certain age and they didn't get it, or they got it. Either ways, it's fine. But what is your own journey? That's the most important thing. What is your journey, not what everybody else is doing? So that's something that I'm learning, whether it comes to career, whether it comes to academic, getting a master's, at some point it seemed like as soon as you're done with uni, law school, NYSC, masters, then whatever. But you might not do your NYSC immediately you're done with uni. You might not do your law school immediately you're done with NYSC. You might wait for 4 years. That might not be your time. But who says you are slow? Who says you're delayed? People will say delayed, not denied. What does delayed mean? Delayed according to who? According to whose time? And then we go back and say, oh, God is the master of time. So sometimes like the things that we speak are quite contradictory, or the things that we believe in, we actually look at it according to whose time. Whose time are you slow? Whose time that you got married at 38 or that you got married at 40 does not mean that you were delayed. They will say delayed, not denied. I only subscribe that to justice, in the sense that justice system might take a while, but at the end of the day you will not be denied justice, but not in terms of your personal time. And that's something major that I'm learning, because to be able to be proud, a lot of women are not really proud. We're not proud of our ages. When people ask us how old we are nervous. We don't want to answer, because we're like, hey, somebody say, and you're not married, you're not this, and every auntie and uncle wants to tell you, don't worry, it is your turn next. Every wedding you go for, the Lord will do it for you. If you say, but auntie, I'm not ready, hey, don't say that. Don't say that. Why should you say that? Angels are passing, they are hearing you. Why should you say that? I say the next time, in fact, by this time next year, it is your turn, and you're like, but what about if genuinely I'm still trying to figure out what I want? And God knows our hearts at the end of the day and what we desire, and ultimately at His time He will do it. And I think that's something that I'm comfortable with, and that's something that I'm learning to be comfortable with. Really, I think I can't say that I'm 100% comfortable with that, because it's not just about marriage, it's about other things in life too. The truth is, sometimes you want things to happen at the time that you feel you would like it to happen, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Lastly, on my journey to 30, I am learning to not only trust the process and all of these things, but to value friendships and family, to treasure each moment as it is. The truth about it is, as I'm getting older, my parents are getting older too, my family, immediate family around me is getting older. I still look at myself like my mommy's baby, and she still treats me like I'm a baby, and I'm literally about to be 30 in like 2 months. So it's hard to imagine that my mom is getting older or that my dad is getting older, and I'm so blessed to be able to have my family around me at this period, and I'm learning to treasure every moment I can get with them. This past Christmas, I was with them literally for like 3 weeks, and the fact that I didn't have to go back to my 9 to 5 because I don't work there anymore, at the beginning of January really helped me to be able to stay with them for a longer period. And it was just lovely just being with them, feeling safe, enjoying myself with them, and just talking to them, getting to know them more. Honestly, you take a lot of things for granted about your parents. You feel like you know a lot of things about them, but sometimes if you actually ask them some questions, you may not even really know some things about them, why they did certain things in life, how they were when they were teenagers. And the older you get, the more you want to understand why they made certain decisions that they did, because you're older now and you obviously understand that. So I'm learning to just treasure every moment that I can with my family and my friends, be actually present, not just pressing phone, yeah, I'm hearing you, and then I'm scrolling through social media. Like, spend time with them and all of that. So I'm really, really grateful for that blessing. My life has been an amazing journey. I feel like I could literally write a book about my life, and I don't know if it will have like 7 volumes or stuff. But if you've read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, if I wrote a book, I would like to do it the way Evelyn Hugo did, publish it just before she leaves the earth. But it's been an amazing journey. I'm so thankful to God for all the experiences, all the blessings. God has led me to everywhere that I have ended up being. The relationships, the friendships along the way, the ones that worked, the ones that didn't work, the environments, people that I met in different environments, whether or not they worked for me, the jobs that I've had, the career opportunities, academics, like every single thing that has led me to where I am as a person today, I'm super duper thankful for. To be honest, when I think about certain things, I'm like, I might have learned the lesson if I didn't have to go through this, but it's fine. I'm really thankful for it, and I'm excited to see what the next 5 years bring. Like, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine myself as being 35. I feel like I'm like, oh my god, I feel like a baby. How am I going to be at 35 or like 40? Or 45. That's almost 50. Oh my gosh. So yeah, when I think about that, I'm like, oh no, I can't even imagine it. But yeah, I'm just enjoying life every day as it comes. I'm so grateful for all the opportunities. I'm thankful for everyone that is around me. And if you know me directly or you know me personally, then I'm so thankful to you. Even for you guys that are on my YouTube channel that subscribe and watch my videos, I'm so thankful for you guys. I cannot thank you guys enough. You've impacted impacted in my life in one way that I know that I'll be forever grateful. So here's to 30. Here are the 30, and I don't know, maybe plus 5 lessons that I've learned on my journey to 30. It's been an exciting ride so far in life. I'm super grateful for the opportunities. I'm thankful for the life experiences. I can't wait to see what the next few years bring. So this is like, the end of this video. If you've made it to the end of this video, please give yourself a huge round of applause in the comments. Let me know if you enjoyed this. Looking to do more personal videos as time goes on, just documenting my journey in life and different things like that, so that I can watch back, later. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. I will see you in my next video. Bye.